into homes.
Telephone, probably about 1900. I think the city issued a franchise for the installation of a telephone system, and I think it was to DL Juvenile. And it was not a lot of subscribers, considered a luxury at first. It was housed either on the second floor or in a building at 517 South Myrtle, where Meringue Bakery is now. They were remodeling that building in the early 50s. I happened to be riding around town with my grandmother, and she pointed it out. She said, "That's where I used to work as a telephone operator." So the exchange was probably upstairs on the second floor of the building, and maybe the business center, the mechanical end of things, was in the back of the building. But the earliest directory, which is in the Legacy Collection, was 1904, and it has, what, did you say maybe 50, 60 listings? Not more
About,
than that. Right.
with instructions in the first page reminding people to hang up the phone when they're done.
Right. I think there was a couple telephones into Wardy, and I think the store at Lucky Baldwin's Rancho Santa Anita had a telephone line also.
There's a telephone sign on the Baxter building, so there was a phone in the Baxter building some early year.
Right.
I'm forgetting
But that
the year.
would have been probably an individual line rather than an actual exchange.
Yes, because it was very early, 1890s maybe.
Right. And apparently there was a lot of consternation because phone calls would be disrupted by the operator, who would turn off the line in Pasadena. Or, what was it? Harvey said something like, "It's so hard to hear, you could probably shout towards Pasadena and have your message heard better than on the telephone." Something funny like that. So telephones went in and became prevalent after 1910, let's say. Numbers first, then later they had a system where the prefixes were colors and a number. Like black 200 was my grandmother's telephone line, and I think there was red, green, black, and blue, and I think that's it. And I'm thinking that maybe the consoles where the telephone operators sat, maybe they had sections identified by color. I have no idea. I was telling some friends this morning about an incident when my father's older brother was an infant and had a childhood disease, and he ended up having convulsions. And my grandmother could not get a hold of the doctor on his own telephone, so she told the operator what was going on, and the operator called around town until she located the doctor and directed him to come and look after my uncle. Try that now.
It's the early 911 system.
The early 911 system, which was the local operator. So by 1950, dial telephones were scheduled to arrive in Monrovia. The prefix was Elliott, E-L-L-I-O-T-T. And the local telephone company sent out notices in advance saying that a dial telephone system would be implemented. My mother was at a PTA meeting at Wild Rose School, and one of her fellow PTA members said, "Well, Helen, what do you think about dial telephones coming?" And my mother said, "What?" Her friend said, "Well, it was announced. The telephone company sent out postcards saying, 'Elliott is coming.'" And my mother said, "Oh, I thought they were referring to Elliott Roosevelt as a good Republican. I threw it in the trash."